Okay, fine. I could see like no questions coming up or popping up in the chat box. Okay, so like I just wanted to before recollecting the session, like what we have discussed previous session in the previous session. So we shall just go through the openings what I have forwarded. So there is some SQL Server openings who have 0 to 1 years of experience in CSC. And if it is for BTech, like if you are done with the BTech, so you need to be as part of CSC or IT group, and you need to have 75 percentage in complete your total career. Like it could be SSC, Inter as well as in BTech. Okay, and you need to be done with SQL Server training. So one who is participating as part of my training sessions can directly attend. Okay, you can just let me know once you have filled your form or the details what we have forwarded, so that I'll just speak to the HR, like just to confirm that I have given the training for you guys. Okay, who is doing that? So it is directly, I got this request from the HR of that particular company. Okay, so since we are doing this SQL training, so he required some around 20, like there is this openings is for 20 persons basically. So, and even the package, like it is a good package they're going to give. So it's not like a little, like a small amount of package you can expect. Since they're expecting more from you guys, so even the package will be good, even more than the market standards, I guess. But I could not confirm the number. So okay. So once if you have done, like if you're like okay with all the specifications what has been mentioned, so you can just drop the, like you need to fill that particular form and submit, and let us know. Like we have one WhatsApp number, right, which has been shared previously for any questions or queries. You can just drop a message that you have forwarded or you have just filled the details, and just mention your name and the details if possible. Okay, so that I'll just forward the details to HR, like you have done the training from my end, like from me. Okay, hope everything is clear on that. And one more thing is, like if any, like if there are 5 to 6 people who are just trying to attend a particular interview, I'll take one session, maybe an hour or 2 hours. That is separately only for interviews, like how we need to prepare and how we need to go for that interview. So let me know so that I can plan accordingly, and it will be even helpful for you to clear the technical rounds. Okay, so as part I know, like there will be uh, like reasoning as well as SQL Server questions. There will be like a system test, like which they'll be doing. So once we need to clear that one, then once that is done, then we'll be having 1 or 2 rounds from the manager as well as HR, delivery manager, and then HR. Okay, hope that is clear. And if you have any doubts, you can just raise your hand and just you can speak out. It's not only you, you can just forward to your friends or someone who has. Okay, yeah, someone is trying to speak. Please go ahead. Yeah. If you have any doubts, please raise your hand. I'll just help you out in that, and then we shall forward. We shall go ahead with today's session. So I could not see any questions as of now. Fine. So we shall go ahead with. If you have questions, just you can raise your hand or unmute yourself. If not, just ping us in the chat. Like if you cannot unmute, so one of our team members will help you out. Like Vivek is there who can help you or guide you to unmute yourself. So like in previous session, we have a discussion about the built-in functions. Like we have gone through the built-in functions. It could be character, it could be numeric type built-in functions. So what are the different functions and how it will be used and how we can fetch the data and how we can combine more than one string functions together and use that one. So we have gone through all that particular things. Okay, so hope you have practiced that one. And if you have any doubts, you can just ping, like even in the middle of the session, or if you have any doubts, like I'll be asking in middle, you can just go ahead and you can clear your doubts. Okay, so starting for today's session, like we'll be discussing the date functions, and then followed by all the like aggregate functions what we have. So I'll be discussing that one. Okay, so let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Hope you can see my screen, right? Okay, thank you. Thank you for confirming. So let me come for the date functions. Like we have gone through the character functions, what we have learned and everything like char index, substring, replicate, reverse, space, these things, right? So even I told to try one thing, right? If anyone has tried with that one query, please ping in the chat box. Let me verify. If there is any issue, we will look once we are done with today's session. Maybe I'll give some time for that discussion. Okay. So coming to the date functions. So basically, these date functions. Okay, let me touch to that. Yeah, these are the date functions. Like, so what are these date functions basically mean? Okay, so they like date function. Basically, we have some functions which help us to bring some part of the date. It could be date, or it could be month, or it could be only year, or if you wanted to bring in a different format. Okay, if say suppose you are working for a client who is a US customer. Okay, okay. So what they expect the date will be in the format of like if you see the US date, like they will be trying to mention month first and then coming by date followed by year. So if they wanted to show the data in such manner, so how we can do that? Okay, basically like if you just insert the data for any date field, okay, it will be storing as year, month, and date. Okay, I'll try to show you how that will be. So if you wanted to manipulate the data of which is related to a date, time, data type. So in that, like for that, we'll be using these date functions. Okay. So here we have some standard functions which will help us to identify the system current date. Okay. The system current date and time. Okay. So for that, we have a function called get date. Okay. Get date. So these function will try to return current system date, okay, and time. Okay, current system date and time. So you need to see very carefully, you need to understand what is system date and time. Okay, say suppose you are running a virtual machine, like you are accessing a virtual machine which is in US. Okay, so when you run this function, okay, since that particular SQL, like particular machine, virtual machine is in US, then it tries to show you that time, but not our IST time. Okay, say suppose now it is 4:17 p.m. for us now, okay, in India, but you're accessing a machine which is in US. So when you run this function, okay, I'll try to show how we can run that. When you run this function, it tries to show what is the system time and date, okay, date and time of that particular system where you are running this function. Okay, so in that way, like get date will be giving the system current system, like system date and time, but not our local time and date. Okay, so you need to be very careful when you're accessing the system which is not configured in our country. Okay, you need to see in that manner. So say suppose you need to run some steps at so and so time. So you should know you cannot depend upon the time which is there in our current system. Okay, you need to depend on the time which is mentioned as part of the SQL Server installed machine, basically the system where you're working. Okay, so in that way, like you need to remember that the get date will return the current system date and time in the SQL Server. So how it will be, the format will be in this way, like year followed by month followed by date. And here when it comes to time, hours will be in 24 hours format, followed by minutes, followed by seconds and milliseconds. Okay, till here we can get as part of get date. So if you wanted to store any data, current system data, time and date in the table, you can directly use this function to store current system date and time. Say suppose you wanted to track the details, like you have updated some details and you wanted to track when that particular details has been updated in the system. So what you can do when you're trying to update the table or update the record, you can just have a column where you will track all the system, all the updates which has been done for that particular rows. Okay, we shall see that how we can do that. Okay, just you need to understand that get date function will return the current system date and time. Okay, so let me open this SQL Server and show you how it will return and how it works and how it helps us. Okay, I just opened our SQL Server and going for a new query, and we have a database called SQL Training. I'm just selecting here and I'm running a get date function here. So you can see here, since my system, my SQL Server is running on my machine itself, on my local machine, so it is showing the machine, the time which has been there in my as part of my local machine. Since it's 1419, so it has been given as 1619. That is not 24 or 24-hour format for hours. Like it will be 16 in the sense it will be 40. Okay, so 19 minutes and 26 seconds and 190 milliseconds. Okay, so in this way, if you wanted to do any updates, or if you're trying to do any updates and you wanted to track when that particular record has been updated, so we'll be maintaining one field. Okay, in any table. Okay, in any table there will be 4 fields, which one will be created date, created date, updated by, updated date. So these are the 4 fields which will be maintained, okay, in any of the table to track the details. So who has created that, and what is the created date, what is the update, like who has done any, if there is any updates done, so who has done that, and what is the updated date. Okay, so every table, when you go for the real time, if you work on any projects, so most of the transactional tables will have these 4 fields. Okay, so for created date, it will be always populated with get date. Okay, it will always populated with get date. Get date is nothing but current system date and time. Okay, and created by will be the user who has updated. User who has updated, and for this one it will be get date. It will also be get date. Like what has been, like when if it is updated today, so we'll be updating that with the updated date will be followed with the get date. So when we're trying to insert the record, okay, when you're trying to insert the record, we'll try to only fill these 2 fields. Okay, these 2 fields, updated by and updated, will be always empty when we insert the record. Okay, when you're trying to update the record which has been inserted previously, okay, when you're trying to update the record which has been inserted previously, so what we'll try to do, we'll try to update these 2 fields. Okay, created by and created date will be as it is, but when it comes to updated by and updated date, that gets changed. Okay, so in that way we'll try to maintain, like to identify when has been updated, what is the time and date which has been updated, that like that particular record got updated. To know that, we'll be maintaining these 4 fields in any of the table. Okay, so in that way this get date will be used. So coming to the functions, like what we have different functions, we shall see that. Okay, so as we have seen that there is one function called day function. Okay, what does this day will try to do? Will try to return an integer representing the day. Okay, the day of that particular date. Okay, of that particular date of this particular date. Like say suppose you're passing as get date as a variable for this day function. So what does it return? It tries to return what is the day of this particular get date. Okay, say since our day is 1, so it returns 1 as an output. Okay, if you wanted to pass any of the other variables or other fields, like other columns, so the call, like it tries to refer the date from that and tries to return the day of that particular date. Okay, we shall see like how we can pass for get date, and we shall see a variable by like we shall see what is the date for any other variables. So I'm just running this one first. So what does it return? Okay, today the date is 1. So it is nothing but the day of this particular get date. Say suppose I am passing some other date. Okay, let's take an example where I'll pass some other date. Of 2020 -05-01. So this is my date. So what will be the date? Let me make it as some 10. So you can see that the second output which is showing as 10. Okay, that is nothing but which takes date as an input and returns the day as an output of that particular input variable. Okay, of that particular input variable or input function whatever we pass. Okay, it tries to return only day of that particular value. Okay, say suppose there is some logic where you need to return based on the day. Say suppose there is an EMI, okay, where where EMI the date will be fixed for every EMI. So what we need to do every month, it need to get triggered automatically. So how you can do that? We cannot directly go manually and do that, right? So if you are just configuring the day as 10th to cut my bank EMI, okay, let's assume that every 10th my bank EMI gets deducted from my bank. Okay, so how they will identify that? They'll check for the date, current date, and see, take the day part from the current date. So if it is 10, then deduct the amount from this particular account. Okay, so in that way, like this particular day function will help us to identify the day of that particular of our particular date. Okay, so that helps to identify like what is the day. Say suppose some has been configured 5th, some has been configured 10th based on the EMI that need to be deducted. So every day we'll have a set of logic which will be every day, like there will be a proc or the procedure which will be running and identifying what is the day and who has been configured that particular day. So only for that particular accounts it get deducted. Okay, in that way to identify the day, this day function will be used. Okay, is that clear? From now, like I'll be going a bit faster because if you know this one, like it will be helpful because month and year that will be similar. So just wanted to go a bit faster here from here. So coming to month, like as I said that if it is like to identify the month, okay, to identify the month from the date what you have passed, like it could be get date or it could be any date what you pass that returns the month of that particular date what we pass here. Okay, it expects every function of this particular date function, like it could be day, month, or year. It tries to expect an input which is in the format of date. Okay, if you try to pass an integer, then it throws an error. Okay, if you pass an integer, then it throws an error. It tries to expect the input of this particular function, which is of date format. Okay, let me show you how it throws an error. Okay, see here, conversion failed when converting the date and time from character string. Okay, since the value what we have passed is not a proper date, then it tries to throw an error. So the input what we pass for these dates should be as of type date time. Okay, it should be of date or date time. Okay, you need to be careful when you're passing the input for this particular functions. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. So it could be month. So it could be month. If it is month, then if you wanted to get month of the date what we have passed, then we can use this function. And year, which returns the year of the particular specific date what we pass as a function. So this, as we have seen the day, the similar like month and year will be similar. Like we can use the same functions to get month and year from that particular dates. Okay. Here we have one more field like standard dates to return. One is get UTC date, which returns the UTC date, like current to UTC time. Okay, like coordinated universal time, what we call UTC, right? So to find that UTC date, we can use this function. Okay, so let me open this statement and show you how we can use that. What it returns basically. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the date by using two functions. One is get date and the other one is get UTC date. So see here the output. So UTC is which is like as you know like which we have around plus 530 hours right from UTC. So like UTC is showing us 10:58 and our time is 16:28 right. So like because we follow with UTC plus 530 hours, sorry, 5 hours 30 minutes, right? So that is the reason it is showing us 16:28. But if you see the UTC time and date, that is 10:58, which shows us 10:58. So to identify or to store any UTC date, then we'll go for this one. Okay, if you wanted to store the data in the UTC format, then we can go for this function to store the data. Okay, hope I'm clear for that. Okay, next we have some functions called date name. Okay, so date name, what does this date name function will do? Will try to return the character string representing the specified date part of that particular specified date. Say suppose you wanted to name, like what you wanted to You wanted to know the week. Okay, what is the week of the particular get date? So you can use this date name to identify what is the week of that particular date. Okay, let me run. If you wanted to know the week name, Sunday. Okay, so today is nothing but the week name is like the day name is Sunday. So DW will represent what is the day of this particular week. So what is the day, current day? Current day for this particular week for the data what we have passed. Say suppose you are passing this particular date. Okay, it returns what is the day, basically day of this particular date. So this is get date. I'm trying to do with some other date. Okay, even this is Sunday. Okay, let's change this now. Okay, see here. So when you see like 2020, like 11th May 2020 is Monday. To identify like what is the day of that particular date, what we pass here. Okay, we can use the date name. Okay, so since Sunday and Monday, like Saturday or Sunday, like if it's Sunday holiday, then if you wanted to trigger the job in like if you wanted to do, if it is Sunday, you don't wanted to do some corrections or calculations, or you wanted to skip that particular day. So you can, by using date name, you can identify what is the day of that particular date what we pass. And if it is Sunday, then you can skip the conditions and go further. Okay, if it is some Monday, then you wanted to do some calculation, you can go ahead and use this function to identify what is the day. Okay, and based on that, you can do the calculations what you want. Okay, so in that way, like date name will be used to find date, like day of that particular week. And we have some more. I'll try to show you. Not only week, we can identify few more out of by using this date name. Okay. I think I have mentioned only one here. Let me see if I can get month of it. What to use here. Let me see if we can do that. With this May is what I'm expecting. Okay, you can even get the month of that particular day. So you can get the day of that particular date what we pass, and even the month of the date what we pass. Okay, that is not called date name, which returns the name of that particular day or the name of that particular month. Okay, in this way, like date name will be helped out to identify what is the day and what is the month. Coming to next function called next built-in function called date part. Okay, so these date part is majorly used, okay, in real time. Okay, because if you wanted to find some particular part of the particular date and to do some manipulation, so date part is definitely will be helpful in our, if it in real time experience, like in real time. It could be date part, date add, okay, date diff. These three functions are majorly used. Okay, coming to date part. What does this date part do? Since we have this date name, what does this date name do? We'll try to return the character string. Okay, it returns the character string. What is the date name, or like what is the date of that particular week, day of that particular week or month? When it comes to date part, it tries to return an integer. Here we are returning string. Here we are returning integer. Integer is nothing but the day of that particular date part. Okay, the day of that particular date, like the day what we pass by using date part function. So we shall see one example to get the date of that particular day. Okay. As we have day function, we can even go with the date part to get the date of that particular get day. Okay. So even the day function can also be rewritten in this way as well. So let me show you. So here you can see as one, even the day function will also return the same. Okay, so we can even use day function, or we can use the date part. And okay, so here date function, date part will expect two parameters. Even date name also will expect two parameters. One is what you required from that particular date what you pass here. Okay, that's for the second parameter. If you wanted to find the date part will we need to mention as dd. Okay, if you wanted to find the month, okay, you wanted to find the month. you need to mention of this particular date what we pass. And if you wanted to have the year, okay, you need to mention YY. Okay, in this way, like whatever the data what you want out of it, you can do that. Okay, see here, it has been written year. So for get date, not only get date, you can, as I shown in the previous example, you can even pass some. Okay, you can even pass some dates for this particular function. Okay, dates for this particular function. So here you can see the year has been passed as. If you wanted to get hours, like what is the current time in hours, get date and show. If you wanted to find hours of this particular get date, you can pass as HH. HH means in the sense like it tries to give output like what is the hours we have. Like it is 1434, right? So 14, like if you see in 24 hours format, like it will be 16. So if you wanted to know the minutes of this particular date time, so what you can do, you can even have that. You can even go for for that, like by using MI. MI represents minutes. Okay, minutes of this particular date what we pass. You can see like the date, the time is 4:35. So it is returning as 35. In this way, like to identify hours, minutes, date, year, month, and seconds, everything like that can be achieved by using date part. And if you see date function or year function or month function, okay, what we have seen in the top, that only returns only for that particular day, month, or year. But by using date part, you can achieve everything here. Okay. So instead of going for the this day function, you can even go with the date part and find the day of the particular date. You can go for the date part, you can find the month. You can go for the this date part and go find the year, minutes, seconds, and hours. Okay. By using date part, we can do that. So not only get date, I can go with any specific date as well here. So let me declare a variable. Since we haven't seen with a daily variable, I'll try to declare a variable. Okay. And just assigning this as date time. That is nothing but I'm declaring a variable CT, which is of type date time. So now I'm trying to assign some value for this one. I'm trying to assign some value for this one. So what I'll try to do is set CT 2020 04-28, and how many hours I wanted to give us 12 hours, 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay. So this is my variable where I can pass even that variable to this function. Okay, even I can pass that variable to this function. So you can see here. So what I'm trying to fetch? I'm trying to fetch minutes out of this variable. So what is the minutes I have given? 12 minutes. So that is the reason you're getting as 12. So I'll make it as 23 minutes. Okay. Let's see, like it should, the output should be 23 now. So you can see the minutes as 23. So similarly, you can even fetch hours, minutes, okay, and seconds, as well as date, month, and year. So let me show you for seconds and we shall move further. Okay, so 30 seconds is what we have passed. So you need to remember this, like what we need to pass here, okay, for hours, minutes, seconds, as well as day, month, and year. Okay, if you remember that, you can just use this date part function and pass the value what you want and followed by the date from which you wanted to search that one. Okay, so that way this date part will be helpful for us. Okay, so coming to date add. Okay, so date add function will tries to add some value for the date what you pass here. So date add function will help us to add, okay, the days or years or months, okay, years, months, and days to that particular variable, to particular date or the variable what we pass as the third parameter. So for the date add function here we need to pass three parameters. One is what type you wanted to have. It is date, it is like it is days, it is months, or it is years you wanted to have. Second parameter will be okay. I just tried to mute him. Fine. So this date add function, okay, will expect three parameters. One is what is the type you wanted to add. Okay, it could be date, it could be year, it could be month, and how many days you wanted to add, how many years you wanted to add, how many months you wanted to add for this one. So here followed by the date. It could be get date or it could be any date what you pass. So it tries to add, okay, the number of days, years, or months, okay, based on this for this particular day value what we pass, and it tries to return as an output. So we shall see one example for this and go further. So second one will be, this will be the data, and here this will be the interval, like what is the interval you wanted to pass, and first one is what is the type you wanted to add. Okay, so I added 5 days for the existing for the current date. Okay, today is 1st August. So if we add 5 days, then it will be 6th August. You can see the output as 6th August. But I wanted to add months. Okay, how can I do that? If I wanted to add months for the current day, so how can I do that? I can just pass. Okay, I wanted to add months, so I'll be passing mm. So when you see this date part, okay, and date add, the first parameter, okay, will always remains the same. Say if you wanted to get date part of minutes, so what are you passing? Mi. And if you wanted to get seconds, you're passing ss. Okay, if you wanted to get the month, then you can pass as mm. So even date add expects the same. If it is mm, then it considered that you are trying to add months, this many months for this particular parameter what we pass here. So if you add months for this particular get date, 5 months. So today, like it is 1st August, right? If you add 5 months to this particular date, then it goes to 2022 Jan 1st. Okay, you can see here. Okay, so in this way, like you can add some specific months, years, okay, or days, or hours, minutes, seconds for this particular value what we pass, and it tries to return that particular output by adding the interval what we pass here. Say suppose I wanted to do for years. Okay, I wanted to do for years. I wanted to add 5 years to the current year and see the date. Okay, after 5 years, what will be my date? Okay, so you can see as 2026. Okay, they will be 1st August 2026. So in this way, we can use this date add function, okay, to find to add any particular specific month, year, date, hours, minutes, seconds, okay, and get the output of it. So say suppose we have some incidents, right? If you take any incidents, what that will be do, that will have like from date and to date, right? So that will be based on, basically you will try to add 1 year to the current date. Okay, okay, 1 year to the current rate, and you will be generating the like you will be generating the insurance copy. Okay, one date, sorry, year, 1 year minus 1 day, basically. So we'll be doing that, and we'll be generating the insurance copy. So that we can achieve by using this data. Okay, you'll add 1 day, 1 year for the particular current day, and just subtract -1 and generate the generate the insurance copy. Okay, so in that way we can have that one. By using data, we can do that. Okay, so that is one example where you can have, like, where you can use this data function. So coming to date diff, okay, here you need to remember, okay, every date add function will return the output as date time. Okay, will return the output as new date time, and date part will return only that specific integer value, and date name will return the character string. Okay, here the date part will have two parameters, two input parameters. One is what is the date you wanted to get out of that particular date. That could be dd, like days, months, or years. And date add will expects three parameters. One is what you wanted to add, and what is the interval you wanted to add, and for what you wanted to add. Okay, these three things will be there as part of date add. Coming to date diff. Okay, so what does this date diff know? By seeing the name, you can identify that. Okay, to find the difference, between two dates. Okay, if you wanted to find any difference between the two dates, that can be achieved by using date diff. Okay, that can be achieved by using date diff. Okay, so what does it do? It tries to return the difference between the 2 days. Okay, and what is the format you wanted to return? Okay, what is the format you wanted to return the output? Okay, it could be months, it could be years, it could be minutes, it could be seconds, it could be days. Okay, whatever the format it could be, that can be achieved by using date diff function. So we shall see one example for this date diff and go further. Okay, date diff. What I'm trying to do is I'm just taking the example what is there as part of the document what I have prepared. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to find the difference between two dates, okay, between one is get date, that is the current date, and 2012, 15 12 2022 12, sorry. So for these and the get date, what are the difference, like what is the date difference for that particular 2 days in the form of months? So we shall execute this and see like how it returns. It basically returns the number of months, okay, the number of months. Okay, for the difference between 2 days in the format of months. So 104 months is what they will be written. So we shall go with 2020 so that we can even check that. Okay, so you can see has 8 months, right? Since it is December month, okay. So if whatever the date it passed, it try to skips, okay, that one and sees from next month like Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June. Like if it is 8 months, right? It is August, right? So it tries to return the difference is 8 months. Okay. If you wanted to get okay the difference in days, what you need to do? Okay, you need to pass the I think it is DD. Let me check with this one. If you wanted to find the difference in the format of days, yes, you can do by using DD. Okay, number of days between these two dates. Okay, if you wanted to get the difference in the form of weeks, you can get by using DW. So how many weeks has been? Sorry, check with this. Yeah, it is 33 weeks. Week WK is nothing but to find the difference between 2 days in the format of weeks. Okay, so this will be the first date what you need to pass, and this will be the final date from where you wanted to subtract. Okay, so this way, like if you just interchange this one, then it returns the negative value. Okay, you need to be careful. Like what is the first parameter and what is the second parameter? You need to be very careful when we pass to this date name date diff function. Okay, because it doesn't know, like it tries to see that you are trying to check the difference between 2 days. See here, you can see the negative value is 33. So you need to pass the value in such a way that like the first will be the initial one from like what you need to subtract, and second one will be from where you need to subtract. Okay, since it is JDIC. Okay, you need to be very careful. So you need to see here. So one thing is you need to remember like what are the parameters, like the values what we pass for these functions. Okay, let's go through from the top. One second. So date will always take one input parameter that is of date format and tries to return the day. Okay, the day of that particular date what we pass. Date name will try to return the name of that particular day or week, sorry, day of that particular week, month. Okay, it tries to return the day name of the particular date what we pass. It could be day or it could be month. Coming to the date part. Okay, date part, from date part we can achieve the day, like if you wanted to find a particular part of that particular date, it could be month, it could be day, it could be year, it could be minute, or it could be second. That can be achieved by using date part. It expects two parameters. One is what is the output, like what is the part you want out of this date, and what is the date what you wanted out of it. Okay, next comes to date add. Okay, date add will always expect three parameters. One is what you wanted to add. Okay, so how many months you wanted to add, how many years you wanted to add. So what is the type you wanted to add, and what is the interval you wanted to add, and the third thing is like what is the date for which you wanted to add. Okay, next comes to date diff. So date diff will expect again the same three parameters. One is what is in like if you wanted to find the difference, like in which format you wanted to find the difference. Okay, that you need to specify here. And the first will be get date, like from where you want, sorry, from which you need to be, which from which, sorry, which you need to be subtracted, and from what need to be subtracted will be the third parameter. So in that way, this date difference function will be used. Okay, so these are some built-in functions. Okay, you can just practice this one so that you will have hands-on that one. So this concludes our date functions. Okay, so if you have any queries, just unmute yourself and you can ask. I'll be waiting for a minute. Okay, then we shall, if not, like we shall go through some conversion functions what we have. Okay, so I don't see any queries or function. Okay, I did not see any queries. Fine. I think hope I'm clear on that, like the date functions. So coming to the conversion function. Okay. So what is this conversion function will do? Okay. Basically, this conversion function used to convert the data from one data type to another. Okay. If you wanted to convert any data, okay, from one data type to another, then we can go for these conversion functions or conversion functions. So how many type of conversion functions we have? We have two types. One is cast and the other one is convert. These two current functions like conversion functions will be used to convert from one data type to another. So how this cast will be doing and how we can go with how we can use this conversion function, we shall go with some examples. Okay, so what is this cast function? How we can do that? Okay, say suppose there is some decimal. Okay, there is some decimal and you wanted to make that as integer. Okay, because you wanted to show that as an integer. Okay, how we can do that? Okay, since you are storing the data as part of decimals or numeric and you wanted to show the output as an integer, how we can do that? Okay, without rounding or without this thing. So that can even achieved by using cast function. Okay, that can be even achieved as cast function or by using convert function. Both can be used to convert. Both can be used to convert, but the way we write will be different. The way we'll write will be different. But there are some function, like there is some difference here for cast and convert. We shall see that how that can be, like what is the difference when we go to, like when we convert the date time, we shall see like what is the difference between cast and convert here. So how we can do that? How we can do that? How we can convert? Okay, from this one, like from numeric to integer. So here, the cast function will always takes an input. Okay, input the value what you wanted to, the value what we pass, and what is the output data type you are expecting for that particular value what we pass. Okay, but you need to remember that there will be some restrictions here. Okay, so here the restrictions will be the conversions will like every conversion will not be supported. Say suppose you have some text column, okay, and you are trying to convert that to integer, which is not acceptable. There you can, like SQL server cannot do that. Even like it is nothing but it throws an error stating that you cannot convert that particular value to an integer. Okay, there are some restrictions because that is nothing but it throws an error where it like the conversion is not possible, cannot do for that. Say suppose you wanted to do some float to integer, that can be done. If you wanted to take the date time and you wanted to show only date of that particular thing, that can be done. Okay, so there is some restrictions where it can be achieved only for that one, it can be achieved. Okay, so let's see one example how we can do that, how we can use cast and convert function to do the conversions. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to select this query. Okay, so here you are trying to cast, okay, you are trying to convert this numeric value, let's say decimal value, to integer. That can be achieved. Let's take an example. As I said, I'm trying to convert some text value. Okay, let me convert some text value. Okay, what does it do? It throws an error. Okay, conversion failed when converting varchar strings to data typing. Okay, one question to you, right? Okay, one question to you all. Say suppose I have given some value here. Okay, let's assume 10.345. Okay, what will be the output of this one? Can anyone say? Can anyone say what will be the output of this one? Please ping in the chat. Okay. So what will be the output of this query? Since I am passing the value, the integer value in single quotation, will it reads that particular value is a character or it takes that an integer, that as an integer, and try to do the conversion? So we shall see that. Okay, so we just run this one. Okay, someone is saying that it is a previous server. Let's see that. So see, has that intelligence to do it. What is throwing us? It is trying to throw an error. Okay, the same thing we shall do with conversion function. Okay, cast and convert. Okay, what does it do with convert when it comes to that? So here, when it passes in single quotation by default, okay, by default, it treats that as a text. Okay, that as a text or a character. Okay, so for that, like it tries to throw an error stating that you are trying to convert some parameter, some value, okay, some value which is of type character, and you are trying to convert that to integer. Okay, so even it is a, I mean, number, but you have passed in a single quotation. So if you just remove this one, it works. Okay, so here this cast function will be used to convert, okay, convert this particular value to integer. Okay, if you wanted to do here is okay to a decimal, that can also be achieved here. Say suppose numeric 10 comma 2, but since you have mentioned as numeric 10 comma 2, there will be two decimals followed by two decimal values which are followed by this particular value. Okay. So this will be the output of this cast. Okay. Say suppose we have this 10.345, but you wanted to only specify two numeric values, two decimal values, two decimal places. So how can I achieve that? So you need to specify numeric or a decimal. Let's see decimal, decimal. So it will be 5 comma 2 sufficient. Yeah, decimal 5 comma 2. So you can see like it is only returning only two decimal points out of that particular integer. So 10.345, which is now shown as 10.35. Okay. Let me give here as 1. Okay, what will be the output for this? It will be 10.34. So there will be a rounding which will be done if you convert this particular value to a decimal. Okay, since you have mentioned as 5 or 6 here, it is showing as 10.35. Okay, so in this way, like cast and convert function will be used to convert any value to a specific data type which is supported. Okay, which is supported. That can be achieved by using cast function. Okay, we have one more thing by using cast function. It's not only that numeric to numeric, like the integer to numeric or numeric to integer, or float to integer or float to numeric. We can even use this cast function for. Okay, we can even use this cast function for date as well. Okay. Okay, let me see. Let me show you how we can do this. So I wanted to get only date of it. Okay, and since get date will show like what will be the get date output format will be d, like it will be month, year, sorry, year, month, and followed by date, as well as we'll get time out of it, right? The output will be, so this is the output of this get date. So you can see here year followed by month followed by date and then followed by time. Okay, but I wanted to have only date out of current date. So what I can do by using cast function, I can get that. So you can see here, since I have just mentioned as date, so I'll get only date part from this particular get date function. Okay, that can be achieved by using cast function. So cast function is not only used for integer and numeric, but also we can use for date functions. Okay, so let me show you. I think I have written here. Yeah, I think I haven't written here, but even you can use that for date functions. So how does this convert function will do? So convert function will also be used to display not only date time format, but also the same thing what we have seen on the top. So how we can do here, the cast function and convert function, what is the difference? Basically cast function will take, okay, two parameters. One is the value what you wanted to change and what is the type you wanted to change for that. Okay, that need to be specified with a keyword called as. Okay, since you wanted to make this 10.2587 to an integer, so that need to be specified as int. Okay, if you wanted to say some, if you wanted to get date of date time variable, then you need to specify as date. But when it comes to convert function, The first thing is you need to pass what is the type. Okay, what is the data type what you wanted to return. Okay, and second parameter is the expression or the variable from which you wanted to return this particular type. Okay, so here even this convert function will be used mostly when we mostly to convert the date time formats. Okay, to convert the date time formats. So what are the different date times we have basically? So we have US date time format. We wanted to get if we wanted to get the output in the form of US date time like month, date, and year, that can be achieved by using this convert function. I'll try to show you how we can do that. Okay, let me run this. Repeat. So let me just run this one first and show you what will be the output. You can see here, since we are converting the get date to a varchar, okay, it tries to return in this format by default. Okay. First is month, followed by date, and then followed by year, and this will be the time in 12 hours format. Okay, so if you wanted to change in US format, so you need to specify the format type here. So if it is US, there is a one like we have some specific numbers for each and every format. I'll try to show you in the document. So if it is 103, that is nothing but you are trying to see the date in US format. Okay, so third parameter is nothing but the format what you wanted to see. Okay, sorry, it is UK itself, like 0108. Okay, it is UK format 103. Let me try it 101. Format number. Yeah, it 101 is nothing but US format, and like 103 is the normal format what we follow. Okay, if it is 101, if you mention as 101, the format will be written as month followed by date followed by year. So convert function will use to convert the date time in different formats what we require, like whatever we wanted to do. So I'll try to show you in the document like what are the different formats, and we shall go with the next topic. Okay, so here coming to basically if it is US format, that is 101. Okay, same thing, just you need to change here the value. If it is 101, if you pass, then that will be shown as US format. If it is 102, you can get as byway.mm.dd. Okay, that is nothing but the answer format. Okay, if it is 103, that will be returning in British, like as we've seen that the UK format. If it is 104, that will be in German format. So these are all the different formats. Okay, from where you can convert the date in different formats and get the output. Okay, if you wanted to get only hours, minutes, and seconds out of that particular date, that can be achieved by using the value 108. Okay, so these are the different formats out of which we can get from that particular date time by passing that particular format type. Okay, so this is how we can use this convert function. So these are different formats. You can just try that one. Okay, I don't want you to spend more time on that, but we shall move to the next topic. Okay, so if you have any doubts still here, please raise your hand or just you can ping in the chat. Let me know if I'm going fast. Okay, some question like why are we giving the date time in a single quotation when it is not a string? As I said, right? If it is the date time or if it is a string, then we need to pass in single quotation. That is like we even it is a date time, we need to pass as a single quotation somewhere because based on the single quotation and the type what we pass, then it detects like it is a date time or a string. Okay, so even like in the initial class I said, right? So if it is a numeric or integer or a decimal, then it is not required. The single quotations are not required. But if it is date and a string, then definitely you need to pass in single quotation so that SQL Server can identify. Okay, based on the variable type and based on the data what we pass. Even like if you declare a variable as the date time and if you try to pass the string, it throws an error stating that conversion issue. It cannot store the data as part of that particular variable. Okay, you can just try that one. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Thanks for that. So if anyone has questions, please ping in this chat box, and else we shall move for the next topic, which is very important. The aggregate, like the functions, aggregate functions. So in every like mostly the queries will have like in the real time we'll be using these aggregate functions. So we shall spend some more time on that. Let me know if you have any queries till now. Okay, I could not see any questions popping up. We shall move to the next topic. Okay, coming to this aggregate functions. What is this aggregate functions will do? Okay, aggregate functions will try to, there are different types of aggregate functions. Each and every function has its own property. Okay, its own work, what it need to be done. So some function will be try to use, will be using this sum function to add, okay, to add the data. Sorry, one second. Sorry for that. Okay. Coming to the aggregate functions, we have different aggregate functions. As I said, like each and every aggregate function will do some operation. If you wanted to sum any integers, or if you wanted to sum any column data, then we can achieve, okay, by using sum function. Or if you wanted to count in like the records in the particular table, or if you wanted to count any data from that particular table, then we have one function called count. If you wanted to take an average of the particular values or the column, the data what is present as part of the column, then we have a function called average. Okay. So if you wanted to find the minimum value from the particular table, what is the minimum salary person? Okay, minimum salary employee, we can do by using minimum min function. If you wanted to find the maximum value of that particular column, that can be achieved by using max aggregate function. So we have these aggregate functions which can be done or which can be used as a single, or also that can also be used as part of group by. Okay, that also can be used by using group by. So once first we shall see how we can use directly that functions, and then we shall go for group by and having class. So which is basically which will be very much useful these functions in the real time. Okay, by using group by as well as by using individually. Okay, let me show you one after the other. So we shall go with the sum function. I will try to show you the simple queries first, and then we shall see with the group by some complex queries by using group by class. So what we have some different tables. Like in the initial stage, we have created some tables in SQL training. Okay, in this particular DB. Hope you have installed your SQL Server and had these tables in your DB. Okay, let me go with what we shall see. Employees. Let me open this table, db of employees. Let us see what is the data present in this. Let me run this first. Okay, these are the employee details what I have. Okay, so what I wanted to see is what is my cost. Okay, what is my cost to the company by paying in the form of salaries. Okay, I wanted to see what is the cost of the company. Okay, by paying in the form of salaries. How can I achieve? That can be achieved by using sum function. Okay, one second, I'm just getting a call. Okay, so this like I wanted to identify what is the cost for my company by which is based in the form of salary. How can I do that? I cannot go individually and sum up these one and see, right? So that can be achieved by using sum function. So what is that sum function? we can use the sum function. So every function will be followed by this. And then what you need to mention, what is the column you wanted to sum it. Okay, then close this braces. And you wanted to mention as total salary amount. So this is the algorithm what I'm giving. So just run this one. So there are 40 records. So this sum function will return only one single record. Okay, this single record will be summing up all the 40 record salary amount and it tries to return that. Okay, you can see here. This is nothing but the total salary of the particular of all the employees who are present in the employee table. Okay, who are present in the employee table. By using sum function, we can add. Okay, we can add all the salaries of the particular employees table. Okay, in this way, like sum function will help us to sum. Okay, to calculate the sum of all the salary of the employees. Okay, how we can use sum function if I wanted to see. Okay, if you wanted to see only salary of a particular department. Okay, I wanted to see only salary of particular department. How can I do that? That can be achieved by using where class. Okay, that can be achieved by using where class. So how many records we have for this one? How many departments we have? We shall see. We shall see how we can use group by as well. So that let me run this query first. Okay, I can know the departments what we have. Okay, so departments you can see here 9, 6, 10, 3, 5, 8. So we have some few departments here. Okay, let's go with it. So I wanted to see only salary which is having department ID 10. Okay, which is having department ID 10. So what I'll do is I'll try to add a where condition. Okay, what will be my where condition? Department ID. Department ID equals to 5. Let's make as 5. Let's see what is the salary which is spent on department 5. So this is the salary which is spent on department 5. So similarly, if you wanted to see any specific department, you can just substitute the value here. If you wanted to see for 6 department, that is 28,800. Okay. So in this way, like if you wanted to see salary of particular department, then you can just pass on this one and see that. So now the question arises here. How can I see for each and every department what is the cost spent as part of salary? Okay, everywhere I cannot go and substitute. Say suppose there are 20 departments in my company. So I cannot go and substitute all the 20 IDs here. So how can I do that? Okay, how can I do that? I wanted an output which shows the department ID and the salary which is spent on each and every department. How can you do that? That can be achieved by using group by class. That can be achieved by using group by class. What does this group by will do? Okay, so first you need to understand what does that group by will do. So group by will segregates, okay, will segregate based on the column what you define, that will be treated as a single set. That will be treated as a single set. And then that aggregate function will be applied upon that. Aggregate function will be applied upon that. Okay. So we shall see with one group by function how we can do that and then move further. So I'm just removing this condition. I wanted to apply a group by. So how does this group by will work? So where we need to specify this group by, we shall see first that one. Okay. So every table, when you write a select statement, that will be followed by a from class, then followed by a where class. Okay, where. And then after that, you need to specify group by. Okay. And then you need to specify group by. So this will be the sequence basically. So if there is no where condition, you can just remove this one. If you wanted to specify some where condition and then apply group by, then you need to specify where condition after from class. Say suppose I wanted to apply where condition here. Okay, and then I wanted to see even salary. So first you need to apply the where condition followed by group by. So you cannot write group by and then write a where condition here. Okay, the sequence you need to follow the sequence. This will not be allowed. So like this, it will not be. From followed by group by then where class. This is not allowed in SQL. Okay, not only SQL, anywhere. Okay, you need to follow this particular sequence from where group by followed by having. Okay, for having, I'll let you know. and then followed by order by. This will be the sequence of execution and writing the query. Okay, this way the query should be there. Okay, so let's see for group by first, and then coming to having a multiple group by. So what is the group by? So what we wanted to do, we wanted to see what is the cost of the particular company for each and every department as part of salary. So on which basis we wanted to group and see the sum? On basis of department. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to segregate the data based on the department ID first, a department ID, and I wanted to see the salary for each and every department. So how can I do? I need to give the department ID group by. So here, what I'll try to do is I'll specify the department ID. Okay. By using this one, by using group by, it tries to group each and every department as a single unit and tries to sum the salary of each and every department and try to return the output. Okay, you can just see here. Yes, there are around 11 departments. So you can see first department, which is around 4,400, which is the salary which is paid by the company to the employees. Okay. For each and every department, you have a structure here. Each and every department has some salary distribution here. So out of 40 employees, we have 11 departments in that. So 11 departments, the salary, employees' salary will be defined here. Okay. So in this way, the group by condition will be used. The group by class can be used. So here you can have it out. Why we need to go, like instead of having this group by, can't we directly go and use the selected department ID and sum of salary and get the output? That cannot be done. Okay. Why that cannot be done? Basically, what you're trying to do, you're trying to sum the salary. That is nothing but aggregating the data. Aggregating the data. So out of 40 records, when you aggregate the data, what will be there? That will be having one record. But the department ID, there are around 11 records. So 1:11, which throws an error stating that aggregation, the department ID is not in a group by class. It throws an error stating that it's invalid because it should not be there. This is not there as part of a group by class. Okay, I just skipped this group by and just selecting the only select from statement. So when you write any select statement, okay, when you write any select statement for any column, okay, other than using aggregate functions, then that particular column should be definitely as part of group by class. That should definitely be as part of group by class. So what does when we apply this group by class, what does it will do? It will try to segregate. Okay, it tries to make each and every box for each and every department. Okay, so department ID 1 will be as a single set. Department ID 2, it will become a set. Department 3, it will become a set. Like each and every department will become an individual sets. Okay, from that particular individual set or the block, it tries to view the sum of that particular salary. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to aggregate against a department. So that is the reason it is allowing you to select that particular department ID. So for each and every department, you're trying to find the sum of the salaries of the particular department. So in that way, like group by class will be used to set, okay, to find each and every block, okay, based on this department ID. So here, if you wanted to see, okay, if you wanted to see the max salary from the employee, okay, you wanted to see max salary of the employees. How you can do that can be achieved, okay, that can be achieved by using max function. Okay, that can be achieved by using max function. So what I'll try to do is max, and I need to mention salary. Max is the keyword for calculating the max, like max value. So this is the max salary. Okay, this max salary will belong to all the departments. It's not that individual department, we are not seeing against a department. We are seeing overall company level. But I wanted to identify what is the max salary for each and every department. Okay, I wanted to identify. Okay, I wanted to identify what is the max salary for each and every department. How can I do that? Okay, that can be achieved by using again group by class. That can be achieved by using group by class. So just I'll specify this group by class here and department ID. So again, the same thing follows here. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to group the data based on the department ID and find max out of it. Okay, I'm trying to group the data based on department ID and then find max of it. So you can see here, department ID 1 has max salary 14,400, sorry, 4,400. Department ID 2 has 13,000. So each and every department you can see here. So these are the salaries for each and every department which has the highest salaries. Highest salaries. I wanted to find the minimum salary. How can I do that? I wanted to find the minimum salary and maximum salary for each and every department. How can I do that? That can be achieved by using min function. That can be achieved by using min function. So min followed by the column where you wanted to find it. Okay. So just run this select statement. You can see here. So I think there is only one employee which is belonging to department 1. So that's the reason you got the max and min at the same value. So this is 6,000 which has the minimum value of this department 2. So in this way, like max and min can be used to find the minimum value as well as the maximum value, okay, based on the group by, or it could be directly. So let's see that. What is the max and min salary of the employees irrespective of the department? Okay, irrespective of the department, I wanted to see max and min salary. So what I'll do, I'll just directly select the max and min salary from employee table instead of going for a group by. If I go for a group by, then what it will do? It will try to view the data against a group by class, against that particular department. But I wanted to go, I wanted to have the data against all the employees. So how can I do? You can just go and directly use min and max for this particular table to identify that. Okay, in this way, like we can use these aggregate functions, okay, and the group by class, how we can group the data and get out of like and get some max and min out of it. Okay, coming to the average. Okay, I wanted to find the average salary of the company, so of this employee table. So how can I do that? I'll go for average. AVG is a function to find the average of this particular column from employee table. Okay, these returns the average salary of the employees. So this is my average salary. Okay, how you will find that? So sum of the salary divided by number of employees. That is what the average function, like the average, if you wanted to calculate. That you can even do here. Since we know that there are 40 records, you can just see here. Maybe the fraction value could be some different. So 8,060, right? You also will get that 8,060. Okay, 8,060. So you can see here. So average is nothing but the sum of salary divided by number of employees. Okay. In that way, you can find the average salary. I wanted to find against a department. How can you can do that? Even by using group by class. The same thing followed by, as we have seen for min and max. You can use the same group by class here to find each and every department level average salary. So this will return the average salary of each and every department. Okay. So these way, like these aggregate functions, which can be achieved individually or it can be used followed by a group by class. Okay, this helps us. Okay, this helps us to identify the aggregate the data from the table. Okay, by using any of the particular value. So here, okay, here these particular functions are nothing but a mathematical functions, right? So it expects the value, the parameter what we pass, this should be as part of integer, numeric, or a decimal. Okay, we cannot directly give the column which is belonging of a type character or a varchar. Okay, then it tries to throw an error stating that it cannot sum that particular values because it is a character where we cannot do sum or aggregate the data. Okay, so I wanted to see the count or the number of records which are present in the employee table. I cannot directly see all the time. We cannot select the statement or say we cannot run the select statement and do that, right? So we can use one aggregate function that is called count. Okay, that is called count. Count function will help us to find out the number of records from this table. Number of records from this table. You can see here. So it returns 40. That is nothing but number of records in the table is 40. So here I wanted to find, okay, for each and every department, what are the records? What are the record found for each and every department? How can I do that? Again, the same using group by class. I'm using group by. So department ID, comma, count of records. Run this statement. See, department ID has 1 record, department 2 has 2 records, 3 has 6 records. So these are the employee list for each and every department. So in this way, like we can use these aggregate functions to identify the data, okay, from the particular table based on segregating the data into a single set or a block, or we can just segregate based on some column and we can get the data. So I wanted to stop here for a few minutes. If you have any queries, you can just ping on. You can unmute yourself and ask. Okay, these are nothing but the aggregate functions what we have. Yeah. If you have any queries, please unmute yourself and you can ask. Okay. We have one more thing is we need to analyze this thing. Yeah. If you have any queries, just ping here. Couldn't see anyone. Okay, so here one thing is like we can use a distinct function instead of count. Okay, so what does this distinct function will do? So before going how we can use in count function, we shall see what this distinct will do. Okay, so I wanted to see distinct employees. Okay, I wanted to find the distinct employee names. So there could be same name repeated, right? There could be same name where more than one employee can have. So, but I wanted to see the distinct names. Okay, from the employee table. I think I have same names for this. Let me see. Okay, I think all the names are individual. Like there is no collision in the names. Even if you write the distinct, but it the same thing. Okay, let me see on the test table what we have previously not created. Something where I can find it to show the distinct view of how it looks. Yeah. So here you can see that region, name, location, and country where the values are repeated, right? So I wanted to see distinct countries. What are there in my table? Okay, different types of different countries. What are there in my table? How can you do that? That can be achieved by using distinct keyword. That can be achieved by using distinct keyword. So instead of star, you need to specify distinct followed by the column name. What you wanted to see the distinct values. I wanted to see the values which are present in the country. Okay, distinct values which are present in country. So just run this one. So you can see the distinct values of the particular column. Okay, this helps to find, identify the distinct values which can be referred from that particular table. Okay, so this is distinct is a keyword which will be helping us to find the distinct values from this particular column. Okay, so here how it can be accommodated, by using count keyword. Okay, how we can do. So when once you are finding the values, right? Because now when we just use the count star, what does it return? It tries to count the number of records and try to return. But I wanted to see how many countries, how many distinct countries. I wanted to see the number. Okay, I wanted to see the number, like how many countries I have in my table. How can I achieve that one? By using like count in the sense, like I wanted to see the number of countries in the sense we need to go for count function. So this count, okay, which is followed by a distinct keyword and followed by the column. Just close this braces, and from here you can see the records, the count of distinct country records which are there in the table. So it returns as two. Previously we have seen two countries, right? India and Sri Lanka. So here the count function will return the distinct countries which are there in our table. Okay. This way, like a distinct keyword can be accommodated with a count to find the distinct values. Okay. If there is any null, say suppose there are some null values in the table, there are some null values. Null in the sense that the data it doesn't have data for that particular column. And there are 2 to 3 records which has that null. Okay. Let's assume that there are 3 records which has null values. So what does this distinct keyword will do? Distinct keyword. Okay. See that. Okay, I think we have data here. What I'll try to do is I'll try to update region maybe 3 and 5. 1. Just originally 3, 5. What I wanted to write the market country. I wanted to update countries. So I wanted to find the distinct countries. So here what you can see, even here, okay, since the null what we have updated here, okay, the null what we have updated will be skipped. Okay, that will not be considered if there is any null. Since you can see here, the count which is followed by this distinct, which will return only 2. But we can see 3 different values. One is India, Sri Lanka, and null. But that null will be excluded when we use this count with distinct. So, but when it comes to the distinct, which will be used individually, okay, if you use individually without count, then that returns the value. Okay, that returns the null value. But when it comes to count, that will be ignored. Okay, you can see here, null will be there as part of quantity when you see the distinct. But when it comes to the count function, it skips the null value. It skips the null value. Null value will be treated as empty. So there is no country identified there. So that will be ignored when we use count with distinct keyword. So you need to be very careful when you wanted, even if you wanted to have that null values, then you need to have some other condition to identify that. Okay. Say suppose I will use seasonal function. I'll try to show you what is seasonal instance. Because this what this function will do. Here you can see as 3. Okay, previously it is 2, now it came as 3. Okay, so what does the seasonal function will do basically? Seasonal will try to check whether this particular column data has null values. If it has null, then I'm trying to say that that need to be replaced with -1. Okay, that I wanted to replace with -1. Or this is unknown country. Let's assume that there is no country assigned for that. So I wanted to make as unknown. Okay, even you can see the count as 3. That is nothing but if the country value is empty, then I'm trying to replace with unknown and finding the distinct and then finding the count. So these are the 3 steps which are done here. Okay, first is identifying if there are any null values in the country column and replacing with unknown and then finding the distinct. And the third step is counting the values out of this distinct value achieved from this select query. So here it will be like basically it will be first performing this null operation, is null operation, then distinct, then count. Okay, you need to remember the sequence how it follows. Okay, you need to remember the sequence how it follows. Let's see. Okay, let's use this seasonal condition and see how we can uh, what is the output we get out of this one. There's some extra base coming here. You can see here there are 2 unknown values here, right? So here what you are trying to do, you are trying to replace the null value with unknown. So if there is any null and you wanted to replace with some specific value, we can use seasonal. Okay, seasonal function will be used to replace the null values in the particular column by specific value. Okay, that you need to remember. Okay. So this seasonal function will be used to do that. Okay. So wanted to stop. If you have any doubts, please ping on. Please ping. Like count, distinct, and is done. Else we should proceed. Okay, not see any questions. Queries coming up. Okay. Let's go with the different other operators and operands. Like we have different operators in SQL Server. So the operators are classified into 6 types. One is assignment, arithmetic, comparison, logical, set operator, and the last one is assign. I think it's 5, right? Yeah, it's 5. Yeah. So assignment operator, arithmetic, comparison, logical, and set operator. So we shall see each and every operator. What does it do? Because we have seen most of the operators when we are trying to do our this session. One is assignment operator. Assignment operator, I think everyone knows that assignment operator is nothing but which is used with equal symbol. Okay, so this is nothing but the equal symbol. This equal symbol will specify. Okay, when we are trying to write any query with this assignment operator, it tries to check the left value and the right value. If it is equal, then it tries to return the output. If it is not equal, then it tries to, it doesn't return the output. Okay, so assignment operator is nothing but equal match is what we are trying to check. Okay, if there is any value which is present in the left side column, what you're trying to check, or the left side value what you're trying to check is matched with the right side value or the right side column that you wanted to do, then only the output will be written. Since we have seen here, right, when you're trying to see what is the value, what is the count, or what is the average salary for each and every department, where I can specify the department ID here. I wanted to see only specific department, and I will just specify the department ID. So here, what we're trying to do, I think I'm not using group by. I think we're using the group by. See here. So here, what we are trying to specify, we are trying to check only the department ID which is having one. So that is assigned with an assignment operator. There is nothing but left side value which should be equal to right side value. Say suppose I have mentioned 100. Okay. So it doesn't return any output because there is no department which is having a department ID 100. Okay, there's no department which is having department ID 100. Okay, so it tries to check the exact match from the left and right and then return the output of it. So in this way, like this assignment operator will be used, this equal operator will be used. Okay, let's come to the next operator. Okay, I think I have given some specific queries out of it. You can use, I can just check that. Next come to arithmetic operator. If you want like arithmetic operations, what we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulo. So okay, these are the different arithmetic operations what we have in math. So these all operations can be performed in SQL Server by using some symbols like what we see. So plus is used to do the sum, minus is used to do the subtraction. Okay, star is used to do multiplication, hash is used to, slash is used to do the divide, and percentage symbol is used to do modulo. Okay, modulo operation. Okay, so in this way, like even that can be achieved by using the SQL Server by using these basically operators. Okay, I'll try to show one or two, then we shall move further where you can just practice the other operators. That's very straightforward thing. Straightforward. So I wanted to add 5 plus 5. Then I can just use plus symbol to add 5 plus 5. Okay, to test 10. That is nothing but an arithmetic operator which is used to add two values here. So if you wanted to do subtraction, you can do. If you wanted to do, if you wanted to do division, you can do. If you wanted to find the modulo, is nothing but the remainder. Right? Question. Reminder. Yeah, reminder. Out of it, you can do that by using modulo operator. So one is nothing but the reminder. If you divide 5 by 6, another question. Remainder, right? Yeah, and 8. Yeah, the remainder of out of it, it is nothing but the modulo operator what we use that can be used directly, okay, by using percentage symbol. So if you wanted to add, you can use plus. If you wanted to do subtraction, that can be done by minus. If you wanted to do multiplication, that can be used star. Okay, so here like, you can use these arithmetic operations in SQL Server directly. Coming to the next one, these are some arithmetic operations. You can go through that one, and that will be very easy. So there are some comparison operators, right? So comparison operators. What are the different comparison operators we have? Less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Okay, not less, not greater than or not less than. Okay, these are some comparison operators what we have. Okay, so I think these also like it is a straightforward where you can just practice. Okay, if you have any queries, you can just ask me. Where salary, if you wanted to find all the departments which has salary less than 50,000, you can just add that condition by using less than symbol. So you need to remember these symbols what are used to do this comparison. Greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay, these are some operators which is used for comparison. So I don't want to focus more on that because that are straightforward. You can just go through this document, okay, and use that. So coming to these logical operators, I wanted to focus on this one because it is something different from the regular stuff. Okay, logical operators is nothing but basically like we have like based on the condition like the Boolean data type with a value of true or false. Okay, So that try to return the value based on the condition what we follow. So here logical operators are nothing but and. We have seen few with and, right? Or, not, between, not between, like, not like, in, not in, exist, not exist, any, all, some. So these are some logical operators. I wanted to go through few examples now. Okay. So we have seen with and or. Okay. So and not in as well, I guess, if I remember. So not, sorry, not condition. So we shall see with like, because this is mostly used. Okay. The remaining things would be straightforward. Like if you wanted to go and have conditions on more than one column, then we go for and condition. If you wanted to use any one, if there is a condition where it satisfies, right? One condition satisfies and the other conditions fails, even you wanted the output, then we go for or operator. Okay. So in that way, like not and between, like if you wanted to find any different between the values, like if you wanted to find the data between two dates, then you can use this between operator. Okay. So I will show you some examples for between. Maybe that is something new for you. And or I think that we have seen like covered in the previous sessions. So first we shall go with the like and then come to the next operators. So like is nothing but if you wanted to sign, if you wanted to find some pattern based on the data, some based on some pattern, you wanted to find the data, then you can go for like operator. How it will be used? Say suppose I wanted to find all the employees who has first name, with starting with K. Okay, all the employees who has first name starting with K. How can I identify that? Okay, by using like operator. By using like operator. Okay, these are the employees. So I wanted to find, or else what we shall do? Shall have, okay. There are some values with D. Okay, I wanted to find all the employees who are having the first name starting with letter D. Okay, starting with the letter D. How can I do this? That can be achieved by using like operator. Like. Like operator. How we need to write this one? There. We need to write this one. I wanted to find in first name column, right? So first name. So this is the column where I wanted to find them. So like followed by the keyword like and single quotation followed by the value what you wanted to find. Since you are finding the initial value, the start position value, like the initial first value, then you need to specify that value followed by a percentage symbol. Percentage represents, okay, percentage represents like whatever the value next values could be. Okay, that should be starting with the D, and whatever the next values will be, I wanted to get the output out of this one. So how can I do that? I can just mention the initial value what I wanted to search, and then followed by percentage, and here you can see the output. So all the employees whose first name with starting with D will be shown up here. You can see here David, Dana, Daniel, and Den. Okay, these are the employees whose starting letter is D. And here it's not only the starting letter, but I wanted to see. Okay, I wanted to see all the first names which has a character D. It could be in the initial position, it could be in the middle, or it could be in the last. How can I do that? That can be achieved by using a percentage in the beginning. Okay, that can be achieved by using the percentage in the beginning. That means you are searching a value D. Okay, it could be any part of the string. It could be any part of this first name. Okay, if it is any part, then you need to specify the percentage symbol in the both. Like the starting should be added with a percentage, and then it should be added with a percentage symbol. So here, if you run this query, you can see more two records which have been added because this Alexander, which D has, like you have a D, I mean the alphabet D in this particular name, and even Adam, which has a D in this particular name. So even these two got popped up, like we got as a result, right? So this is nothing but D will be specified. Like when you run this query, it checks the D, the value D in particular first name, whatever be the location. Okay, so I wanted to see all the names, okay, which is starting with L, all the names which is ending with L. What I can do, I used to specify the percentage symbol, like it could be any initial characters, but the end letter should be ended with, the first name should be ended with L. So I can do that by using like operator followed by percentage symbol and then L. So here you can see Daniel, first name is ending with L, and Ismail is ending with L. And you can see all these names, what has been shown as an output that is ending with L. So in this way, like operator will be used to identify Okay, to identify any character or any set of characters, not only a single character. You can go given some set of characters. I wanted to see A and L, which are ending with A and L. You can do that. Okay, you can see that only one record which has been given as an output, because this only one record has the data which is ending with A and L. A. Okay. Not only this, like if you wanted to find, okay, a set of characters, not only this, if you wanted to find any first name which has some integer, okay, you wanted to identify, sorry, if you wanted to identify by mistake or by chance, some of the first names are entered as some numeric values, or some numeric value has been entered in first name. To identify that, that can also be achieved by using like operator. I'll try to show you how that can be done. So coming down, there are some I have written here. So here we have seen this example directly, like with a initially with a, ending with any of the characters, and ending with a which has been has initial different characters, and in middle characters whatever it can be, like we have seen with L. So here, if you wanted to find, okay, I have written here, okay, it's not there, but you can achieve that by using some other condition that, that need to be specified in a brackets. Okay, so if there are any character from 1 to 9, if you wanted to identify, or we shall go with some alphabets A to C. Okay, if you wanted to find A to C alphabets which has in first name, okay, so that can be achieved. Okay, you can see these 29 records which has ATN characters. Okay, you can see in Nina, like A, we have an alphabet called A. Alexander, we have an alphabet called A. So A to C in the sense A, B, and C, right? So first name Brucey is nothing but which is having B character. So here, when we specify this like operator, starting with percentage and then followed by a brace, nothing but a square bracket, that intimates that SQL Server need to be referred, need to be checked in this particular set of characters, starting with A, like from A to C. Okay, so it tries to check the value which has A, which has B, which has C. So all the records which are matching with the first name, which has A, B, and C, will be returned as output. Okay, will be returned as output. I wanted to see only A to B, not all the things. Okay, I just wanted to see only A to B, which has first name, like which is there in the first name. So you can just do that. Okay, this you can see that only A to B, which has in first name. Or if you wanted to see only, I wanted to see any number which has been entered as part of first name. So I can do that by using 0 to 9. So I can see that in the part of 0, 9. So just run here. When you run this, you cannot see any output, like there's no output because it doesn't have any value of the first name which is starting from 0, like which has a value which is in the format of number. So that is the reason it doesn't have any output. So here, how it will be helpful for you? Because when you're entering any forms, okay, when you're trying to fill any forms, you wanted to see if there are any first names which has having the number which has been filled as a number. Okay, if you wanted to do some validations, there is a form, and with the user will be entering the data, and you wanted to validate the data. If there is any character, sorry, if there is any number entered in the character, you wanted to throw an error. So that can be achieved by using this like operator, by using this condition. Okay, in that way, this like operator will be helping us mostly. Okay, so this is a good like operator. So I wanted to stop the session because of some throat infection. So if you have any queries, you can just ask, and else we shall close. And if you have any queries, I can just answer your queries, and we should close. And next session will be again on Saturday, the same time mostly. So let me know if you have any questions. Is that clear? Just you can unmute yourself. I think there is an option. Yeah, I think you can unmute yourself and you can have a chat. Is that okay? Yeah, I think you can unmute. Even I require some feedback from you, like even I'm going fast or slow, or I wanted to continue the same pace. Please let me know. Or if you wanted to me to focus on something more, then I can help you out in that. No queries? No queries? No queries. Thank you. Okay. So I have given one query to write previously. If anyone tried with that one to find the second this thing, right? Like second occurrence of a character. Like in Srinivas, if I wanted to find the second I where the position is, you can try that one. If yes, please pin in the chat, or else please try for the next week. We shall go to that. Fine then, I think no queries and no doubts, and everything is fine. We shall end up the session for today. And next topic will be very much important, like it will be concentrating on the joins, okay, and joins, like that will be very, very much useful in the real time, okay. So if you know the joins itself, like your most of the things will be covered in that in the real time experience, okay. That is very much helpful. So don't miss tomorrow, like in the next session, which should be on again on Saturday mostly. If there is any change, then we'll let you know, okay. Some question. Fine, then we shall end up the session. I think the same document has been previously shared. This contains all the things like in session 4. So you can just go through that document and you can practice yourself and come up with the queries like if you have any. Okay. Any suggestions from you, please let me know. Okay. No suggestions. Thanks for joining. Have a nice day. Bye. Vicky, can you just stop the recording?
Yeah, yeah.